There we go. Good morning, everyone. This is Katherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado, and this is Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm going to be hosting so that Samantha can spend some time with her family today, and we're going to be discussing verse 28, the Tao Te Ching, as it was put forth in the book Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Wayne Dyer. And if anybody has that book, you can hold that up. And then, there you go. Thank you. Mine's in Kindle, so I can't really hold it up. So we're glad that you joined us, and you can please go to our webpage at SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page there, the comment section is there. We would love for you to interact with us and give us your thoughts about this verse as we go through our discussion today, and we'll be sure to read those as we go. And we're considering, actually I think the votes came out, we are going to be spending some more time on Facebook as a group in the future, and perhaps that will be a good place to comment. We've had a little bit of trouble with the comment system on the page, but I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves this morning, and then if someone would like to volunteer to read the verse, that would be great.
All right. Hi, I'm Chris Cam from Chicago, and glad to be here. Thanks everybody for coming this morning, and it's nice to be able to be here. It seems like last week was just a couple days ago, so the week flew by for me.
Time is flying. Good morning. It's Sandy Root here in sunny Miami Beach, and happy to be here and discuss the next verse.
Dan Sisseck here, and what everybody would consider hot Vegas, as it's hot, but to me, I'm loving it. So, and looking forward to diving into the discussion this morning and hearing everybody's thoughts and ideas on it.
Wonderful, thank you. And who would like to read the verse for us?
I'll go ahead. Excuse me. Just making sure I have the right verse here. Okay. Know the strength of man, but keep a woman's care. Be a valley under heaven. If you do, the constant virtue will not fade away. One will become like a child again. Know the white, keep to the black, and be the pattern of the world. To be the pattern of the world is to move constantly in the path of virtue without erring a single step, and to return again to the infinite. One who understands splendor while holding to humility acts in accord with eternal power. To be the fountain of the world is to live the abundant life of virtue. When the unformed is formed into objects, its original qualities are lost. If you preserve your original qualities, you can govern anything. Truly, the best governor governs least.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, what are your thoughts about this verse? What stands out to you? Does anything nudge you a little bit? Usually when we read things and there's something about a verse that will just nudge us a little bit, make us go, I have to think about that a little bit. So what nuggets did you guys pull out of this verse this week?
I think we're all in the same boat. I think we've all been so busy this week that we are now taking our first look at it.
Pretty much. I read it this morning, and yeah, it's been a really busy week, but that's okay, because that's the interesting thing about these verses is when we first read it, we get sort of one impression, and then as we start to go through it, we'll pick up others. So.
Well, my first impression was like this sounded like another, like the commentary sounded like other commentaries on other verses, it was like this. It feels like it keeps repeating itself. So I'm like, was getting frustrated with that. Like, isn't this the same thing we said last time? But and then when he was talking about government, though, that sort of popped out at me because of what is going on in the world right now in our country. And this week has been very heavy and intense with the news and blah, 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 all this stuff going on. And so it's interesting that this chapter was talking about, having these qualities that require the least amount of government right now. And when we're having so much of this shoved in our faces, this government stuff going on. And so I'm sort of trying to process what exactly he's saying in regards to that in the chapter. I read it this morning, the commentary. So yeah, I'll just gonna skim over it again while we sit here and see if anything else pops out.
I'll jump out. I'll kind of, well, you brought up some good points, like what happened in Dallas, and Dan, I just read it, but I guess something happened in Georgia just yesterday morning. It's almost like to me, it's almost like people are getting almost back to, I don't want to say prehistoric times, but to where people just don't know how to act or think, or they just are lashing out because they're so mad, upset, hurt, pained by something or whatever, or things they perceive as that other people are doing when you place it on a, level up here that everybody is this way, not everybody this way, we all have our own things, and to be classified in under that, I think everybody gets so caught up and wrapped up in all that it's like me being, who I am. I don't necessarily agree with everything else that, say, another person like me, for lack of a better way of saying it, another white person, I don't, all those things. And I think, living, as this chapter is about, living virtuously, it's more, I think going into ourselves and looking to how we would like others to treat us, so we try to treat others that same way and go above and beyond to that level to be that way with other people. But that's just my kind of first, feeling, especially after seeing what I saw on Facebook about something happening again yesterday. It's like, are we really just, this world seems to be just totally falling apart to me in some ways, and it's like, how do we get back to that balance?
Yeah, I think like a lot of stuff that's coming up is just stuff that's been buried for eons. It's like old stuff that is coming to the surface, and we're all collectively having to look at it, and it's like churning all this stuff. But that when I'm looking at the chapter, I think the timing of it is pretty interesting. In one of the bold points, Wayne Dyer says, entertain the exact opposite of what you've been conditioned to believe. And I think, a lot of things that are coming up in the world right now are based on condition. We've been conditioned, like people who may be racist, didn't come to this world that way, but maybe their parents were that way, or, they heard this from school or heard this from a friend or blah, 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 and that created their beliefs and their conditioning in the society. And so how can we look at our conditioned beliefs and maybe switch them around? I've done that, over the past few years as I've been going through self-development of what beliefs are actually not true, that have been given to me by society or my parents, and really what are my real beliefs, my own internal beliefs. And so I've been able to grow by looking at that a lot. And I think, if people today can really take the time to look at really what are their true beliefs, not what their parents may have told them or what the society they grew up in told them, the town they grew up in told them, and to really look within. And I think this is, a time that is really calling all of us to really look within and get rid of these labels and conditionings that are so prevalent, that are causing a lot of issues. Excuse me. And then he also puts in bold, replace all negativity with love. And, that's always a reminder through any time of anything, to just go back to the place of love. That's really when, that's the bottom line, just being love, no matter what is going on in the external, remembering who we are, that we are love, and that we can continue to share that and be that and spread that, and we don't have to let all these negative things start coming in and messing with us. Because I had moments this week where I'm like, feeling it like crawling in, and I'm like, no. We have to be very strong. Keep, remember who we are, and don't let these things come in, because they're there, trying to, mess us up in a way. I guess like the fears and the anxieties can really, once they're there, they can really get insidious. So really being strong to remember who we are, why we're here, and that we are love, and that we're here to share love and be love and spread love and show other people that they are loved too.
Yeah, it's a very accelerated time of purging right now. Energetically, things are shifting, and it's really rocking things for people. I was on the phone for hours with someone yesterday, and simultaneously with someone in a chat, and both of them were just like completely freaking out. And people are just getting rocked really hard right now, and if you fear is so insidious, it just really creeps in there before you even realize that it's there, and then it starts, I don't know, it has like its own little choir that starts singing or something, and it just it grows and grows, and then I don't know, it just takes over for people. And it's really difficult to remember who we are sometimes, when we get trapped by that fear. And it helps to have somebody to pull you back, I guess. But with everything going on, if people are paying any attention to the media or the news, which I don't. I see some things come across Facebook, but I don't watch the news or read the newspaper or anything like that. But I hear enough about what's going on. Of course, our hearts go out to everyone involved, because all lives matter. Seriously, guys, it's not about the color of our skin. I don't know. This verse, if as old as it is, it's still a very wise word. Yes, I have the same sort of thought, Sandy. This is the same thing over again. But even again, if even half the people in the world were living by this verse, what a different world we would have. And I think one of the saddest things about it all going on, and Dan and I were touching on this. Hi, Donna. I have flipped it away. I didn't see you. Come on, welcome. I think Dan and I were touching on this before we started, and I think one of the saddest things is that, first of all, we look upon these things happening and we realize we don't have any control to change that. Like, the only thing we can really control is ourselves and how we react and respond to things. But the other piece is the sad realization that each and every one of us is only a situation away from acting just like those people. There are situations that we could all be put in where we would become the animals that we are, and that's to me, that's I recognize that I'm a very peaceful person. I can't kill mice or, you know, bugs. I have to take them outside and stuff. But having experienced violence before, I would protect myself. You know, I'm not one of those people that could just sit there peacefully and focus on love while somebody did whatever they wanted to do. You know, I wish I could be that strong, but to be quite honest, I'm not. You know, and I've seen really good people in really bad situations, and it alters behavior. You know, we all have a certain survival instinct. And I just hate that so many people are being put in the position right now to live out of that survival. You know, they get in that survival mode, and anything goes in that mode, you know, because you really just, your instincts are totally kicked in, and that's when people start doing all this crazy shit. And I know that, you know, when I said before there's nothing we can do, there is something we can do. We can hold a vibration. We can send love. We can send peace, you know. And I encourage everybody to do that. And don't, you know, try not to get caught up and involved in the hate, because it just adds to it and makes it worse, you know. But it's, I hope we get through to the other side. You know, I hope enough of us can hold the light to get through some of this craziness. Chris or Donna, I'd love to hear your thoughts this morning. Come on out.
Good morning. Yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead, Donna. How you doing? Anyway, yeah. I don't know. You guys were mentioning things going on in the world, and then this verse. I don't know. This is the kind of philosophy, it seems like, really, in a way, it seems like really removed from what's going on. But in a way, it's like very sensible. It's like a lot more sensible than like, let's say, for instance, the news or something, you know. So like, I don't know. It's kind of like coming back to your center. It's like, you know, I know what's going on in the media and with these stories, but for some reason this week particularly, I have not given any attention to it. And I know it's there, I know it's going on, but sometimes it's nice to just stay in a peaceful state. You know things are going on, but I don't think we all want to follow the media or just what's going on in the news, to just, you know, to just go that route and report everything that's going on. I don't know that is going to benefit everybody. So, you know, of course, you know, people are trying to stay up on whatever they think is happening, including the people in the media. But I don't know, something like this is a nice place to come back to. You need to keep your inner peace. So. Oh, and Catherine, I noticed your screen visually seems to be freezing up, which seemed to happen last week. Does anyone notice that? And I don't know if there's a way you can change it, or if it's just what I'm seeing.
It's probably just my internet, because I'm just on wireless here. And there's several people using this wireless. So as people wake up and get on their computers, my bandwidth goes down. So. And for some reason, Google Hangouts is the worst. Like, I run Zooms every day without any issues with you know, 30, 40 people in the room without problem. But something about Google Hangout, it takes up a lot of bandwidth.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Come on out.
Yes, I apologize for being late, but you know, it's life, and there's it's not that I'm nonchalant about it, but the old body, like Sandy there, needed a little bit more of the quiet space. So I I had to give in to it this morning. But yeah, it's I'm sorry, I didn't, like I said, I read this verse and good morning to everyone there, and Chris, that was kind of, you just went right on into it, gave the meat of the verse, and that was good. And everything is, yeah, it's still peaceful inside, but there is a disruption, and it doesn't feel good. It's sort of like, yeah, we've seen these times probably in our earlier years. I've witnessed some of this, but not to this extent. But it's like I don't want to be reminded of that, because I was taught, to come. I was taught that I wasn't better than anybody, and it's going back to this. It seems like it's not about that. There's a bigger thing that's going on in our world. And I'm reading the Tao here, the Tao Te Ching, Dr. Wayne Dyer here. And if I would just stop and say, well, you don't speak right, you don't look right, I wouldn't even be doing what I'm doing, guys. But listen, it's difficult enough. When I say difficult and challenging enough for me to do just what I'm doing right now and have been doing, and it's like something has come up to me at this point in this past week and said, okay, you just need to go back in your hole. I'm like, excuse me, I'm not going back in no hole now. I'm not going and go hide just because I may not look right or I may not speak right. I may say my words 2 or 3 times over. Who cares? Just overlook my little flaws and just kind of get past what I'm trying to say. But there is something, all in the same breath, I'll say this, because in this verse here he's talking about virtuously. Am I right? About virtuously there? I'm seeing patience. I'm feeling patience through this. And it's kind of exciting, all in the same breath. I know that seems all out left field to hear somebody say, well, I'm excited. But I am, I see something here, and I've been sharing this, and I'm not doom and gloom, and I'm not being the whatever, I can't pronounce that word, but I'm just sharing me, how I'm feeling inside and what I'm sensing, and I could be wrong, I don't know, but there's just something that's stirring inside, and I can see it's like a coming together. I just cannot run from that. I see it coming together, and there's awareness coming about that we're being disrupted, and we have no control over this disruption. But all in the same breath, it's like we're being detoured. The bigger picture, it's like the higher authorities are trying to, or whoever. Because I want to be careful with my words. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. It's like a detour. They're trying to take us away from what's really, really happening at hand. Does that make sense? And I'm resting in that. I feel a good vibe from that, and I feel peace about that. And it's all in our good master's time. And this is, like I said again, this is his kingdom. It's all about him. It's his kingdom. We're just little peons here. This is his planet. The young'uns is just misbehaving. That's what I want to say. The young'uns they're just misbehaving, and he'll fix the young'uns. We just got to stay out of the way and let our Father work on things. I'll leave that one alone for now. Okay.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I shared before on another hangout, there's our business and somebody else's business and God's business, and we sort of have to keep that in mind and keep that larger view, and I mean, don't squelch your emotion. If you're having emotions over it, express those, because I think that somewhere in the Great Master Plan, the reason why, and we discussed this a little bit before around the Orlando shootings, in these tragedies, there may be people who didn't think they were racist, just thought, well, no, I'm not racist at all. But then when they see some of these things happening, they realize, it brings out certain things in them, and they realize one, either that they are and then they decide to change that, or it brings out compassion in people where they didn't have compassion before. I mean, it's there acts that happen to these all of our consciousnesses, and if that's the word, consciousnesses. But they really do. These events trigger these things within ourselves that bring us to a higher level. That bring us above that hate then, because it's very difficult to watch them without having these deep emotions and bringing these things out, from ourselves, and as sad as they are. So don't squelch all that. Let that come out and deal with those emotions so that we can learn from them, because that's pretty much all we can do is learn and pray and change the way that we interact with people. And yes, Donna, we always have to keep in mind that it's all perfect, even though it seems really messed up at times, and to stay focused on what we want. If you need to spend a little time expressing emotions, that's good, but don't get stuck there in the swamp of sorrow. You need to stay focused on what you want, just like we do when we talk about affirmations and our business plans and our goals and our whys and all of that. It's the same thing with everyday life. To hold that vibration of love and acceptance and compassion. I have to say, I'm a little torn, because I don't think we're here just to stand by and do nothing about any of this either. I think when there are times and ways that we can make a difference, that we need to do that. I don't think you can just close your eyes and stick your head in the sand and pretend like none of it's happening. At the same time, you can't focus on that either. So I'll admit there's a bit of a rub there for me on sometimes, but if we can just keep envisioning that world that we want, that world of peace, and because my God, we all really want the same thing, when it boils down to it, we just do. And somehow we let these labels that we've been given. I mean, who decided that white people would be called white? These are all constructs and separations that we've put there. We've put those there, they weren't there originally. We're the ones that have made all the lines, drawn the lines in the sand and separations. So come on out, you guys.
Well, I was gonna jump out really quick. Sorry, Sandy. I'm sorry. Oh, I'll try and be quick. I was just literally looking at the title of the book on the front and talking about this, where it says change your thoughts, change your life, living the wisdom of the Tao. And it kind of really hit me that with everything going on and everything, that's happening around us, and it seems like, and like for me, I have a lot of, I'll call it baggage issues, things from growing up being abused and stuff that have caused me pain, that caused me hurt, and at times when I focused on those things, when I focused on the past issues, it gets me riled up. It gets me really, in that state of mind where I just want to, go out. And there were times where I really just wanted to do things to my parents. Not that I ever acted on them and stuff or ever would, but it almost seems like you were saying, there's stuff we're dealing with that is old stuff that has built up for so long. And I'm going to go back and say I think it's from the dawn of time, where different nationalities came about, different people and different things, and that sense that we all want to be superior and better than somebody, but yet it still comes down to within us to change our thoughts and change our life to where we can go to that virtuous living and live out, how we want to try and see the world to be, like you said, to where we all can work towards that. We all want peace. We really all do want that. It's just finding out the way for all of us to get to that point so we can all live it within ourselves, so we can show it to everybody else. And I think that's just one of the really things that really came out to me just listening to what you were saying, and then just, like I said, I just looked over at that, and it just, wow, just kind of hit me there, that it just really is a lot of deep pain, I think, coming out in various ways through various means, and it's causing a lot of pain, but it's also bringing up awareness, and hopefully we all can work towards getting to that point where we do change our thoughts to change our lives and the lives for everybody else and change it for the better.
Yeah, those were, that's funny you say change your thoughts, change your life, because I was going to share a quote along those lines, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, I've been feeling that similar to you, Catherine, like there's this, like that rub, like there's like wanting to do something to help, but then where do we even begin? Like, how do we start making these changes? And, I've been reading people's, people have been writing these blurbs on Facebook about how can we be of service? How can we collaborate and really change things? Like big time, like let's get going, and a lot of people are saying that, we can only change ourselves. We have to start with ourselves. And, and I feel like a lot of people too are feeling guilty, if they are having, a good day and they're out, laying on the beach or whatever, like, oh, but I should be doing something better, like there's all this suffering in the world and I'm here being happy, and there's like this, like, well, I shouldn't be so happy with all this stuff going in the world. And it's like there's really all these mixed thoughts going on. I'm finding in myself too, like if I'm having a day of just leisure, I'm feeling like, well, this isn't fair. I should be doing something to help other things in the world. And so there's all those mixed thoughts. But and then, like how you said your friends, a couple people had called you in this fear state, anxious state, and it's really easy to go there. A friend had posted, I'll just read this, it goes along with that, changing our thoughts. And I think that this is important right now, because it is, we can at least start here, because if we do tap into this, we can start just by vibrationally raising things, because we're not just these humans doing things on the planet. We have these vibrations that who knows what they could do if we really tap into them and constantly and really raise the vibrations and teach other people how to raise their vibration. I think is a good thing to, really start spreading this kind of knowledge, because I don't think a lot of people in the general population know about, our thoughts or things, and raising our vibrations. And he's talking about it in this chapter too, acting in accord with eternal power, preserving your original qualities. That's all like that higher vibration. So yeah, someone had posted yesterday, they were responding to like people getting sucked into the media and how it's dragging people down and how easy it is to get sucked in and get this fear and anxiety going on. So he wrote, our thoughts are vibration, easily measured using non-invasive technology such as EEG. Every thought we have sends vibrations out into the universe, our physical reality, which is also vibrating. I'll repeat that. Our physical reality is vibrating, and so are our thoughts. It's like hitting a tuning fork in the midst of uncoordinated random vibrations. Eventually, the vibration of the tuning fork will overpower the noise, and all will vibrate at this frequency. This is how reality creation works. The more we think about something, the stronger that vibration becomes, and the more real it becomes as our reality begins to resonate with our thoughts. If we control our thoughts and attention, we control our reality. If the media or anyone else controls our thoughts and attention, then we lose control over our reality. So, and I know some people have been talking about this there's like this 3D Earth, 4D Earth, 5D Earth, and it can sound very esoteric and woo-woo, but we're in this like heavy reality. But if we really tap into these higher vibrations, who knows? Because we don't know, we're not experiencing it. But if we really start doing that, we can, I believe, experiencing something much lighter and different if we really teach people how to get into these higher vibrations. So, and to tap into that, see what magic new planet we can create. So just some thoughts.
Can I pop out on that one, Sandy? There, that you build it on something there that kind of, you really helped me to balance out what I was trying to say earlier, and it's so true. That thank you for helping me with that, because that's what I see. Sometimes it's hard for me to express some things that's inside of me, because sometimes it goes down low and sometimes it comes up high, and I don't know how to go with it. It just go. That's why, and this is not to be funny or anything, but that's why I don't usually write down scripts and try to follow scripts, because it messes up the flow of what I really need to say and how I need to say it in the way it needs. I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to say here on that is, I like this part right here in the verse. He says, entertain the exact opposite of what you've been conditioned to believe. Entertain the exact opposite of what you've been. So I could put my name there, and I've heard that. I've heard that growing up. My mom taught me that. It's like this stuff is not new to me, but I don't know everything. I don't. But it's like we're living. It's ironic that we're living in Dr. Wayne Dyer, what he wrote here, and it's like, again, I'm feeling excited about something. I heard it. This affects me. It's cause and effect. It does disrupt a lot of things, but I still feel like we're living in one of the greatest time in our time that we'll ever live, and it's kind of like, we're being prepared for. He's got the sift. I'll leave this thought. This, maybe do you all understand what a sifter is? Like when you're doing flour, can you imagine your grandmother? Maybe some of you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I don't want to go over your head, but just picture your grandmother in the kitchen in her apron, and she's got her flour she's put her flour in the sifter, and she's standing there and she's sifting and she's sifting. Well, I always ask question, Mama, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing with that flour, Mama? Why are you doing it like that? She said, baby, you have to get in here and get out all the fineness and get out all the impurities. And, well, to make a long story short, friends, we're in the sifting area. Now, there's a shift, and here's a sift. We're shifting and we're sifting. And all we can do is do what we can do, and within the best of our ability, and just love people. And this does not change the fact of who I am. I've always felt that I was weird anyway, and strange anyway, so it just kind of confirms it, in a good way. So yeah, there's something we can do. Our voices can be heard, but do it still in the way that, like Sandy said, we read these books and we know we've been educated. It's not that we're better than these people that's doing I say, it's not that we're better than anybody. Let me put it, I'm not better than anybody, okay? Really, I'm not. I just want to be better so I can help my neighbor next to me or my friend down the street. That's my intentions. I love you guys. I think I'm gonna close with that one. Hi Jason, good to see you, and good to see everybody. Love y'all.
Hey guys, hey Donna. That was great. I love that. Shifting and sifting. We are doing that as the world turns, aren't we? Wow, it's great to get out here. I just want to jump out real quick and talk a little bit about the verse. And what strikes me is how throughout this entire verse he's talking about a balance that we need to hold within ourselves, where we see everything around us, but we still maintain this balance. And that's not so easy to do, especially when emotions run high. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that, because I believe, like um, what Sandy was saying earlier about, the energies and how we pick up on other people's energies, and we got to be aware of what's, what energies are ours and what are those that are out there from other sources such as the media or what have you. And I think what she was saying was that we produce our own harmonic energies, and that's one way that we give a great, one way we can have a great impact on the world is just by always focusing our energies on those positive things, and trying to keep this balance so that we can sort of be a pillar for those around us, if you will. So, but that's one thing I pulled out of this. It's great to see you all. Great to be here. What do you guys think about that?
I can jump out. I've got some comments to read from both our Google page as well as the Saturday Morning Mastermind blog post page from a couple people. On the Google page, Heron Johnson, is once again said the same thing that we've all talked about entertaining the exact opposite of what you've been conditioned to believe. Replace all negative with love. Persevere. Your original qualities. And then on the blog post page on Saturday Morning Mastermind, Karen Lohoff says, Sandy, I don't know the ethics of this, but I'd like to request you post what you just read, if you could. Such excellent explanation of vibration to share with others when they are ready to try to understand it. Thanks. And then Samantha, who's not able to join us today because she's with her family, but is trying to listen in as much as she can, even though she's got a weak signal. But I love what Sandy shared about vibrations, and I think how much, like, and you were saying, Jason, how much outside influences can get in and overrun it, even our own vibration, such as media or other people or events that are happening. And it's nice to kind of see Chris and Donna sit there and say they've been able to kind of maintain a balance, and actually Donna expressing that she's feeling excitement about something, whereas what's been happening this week kind of has overshadowed a lot of things that might have put us all into a little bit lower state. And now even I'm realizing that, how, when I realized what happened with Dallas, and then what I read about something happening yesterday morning about another policeman being shot at, it's like I know my vibrations dropped down a little bit, and it's like, hearing those viewpoints just lifted me up a little bit. So I appreciate that to Sandy, Donna, and Chris for kind of putting that out there to help kind of bring me back to balance, to where I can say, I've got to work on myself and where my balance is, and keep my balance, so that way I'm able to put out what I want to put out to others.
Well, yeah, that's real good, Dan. That's good about keeping balance. I notice, like, usually except for, we're talking about the media today, usually I wouldn't even give the media so much credit, because I focus on it. I try not to focus on it. Now I'm actually seeing, by not focusing on it, and then we were saying about doing the opposite of what's going on. Well, it's like, most of us are pretty familiar with the law of attraction principle, and the idea of you get more of what you focus on. So it's the kind of thing where it's like really made things evident, as far as we have to be able to focus on the right things. Now, that being said, this is kind of relates to it. Know the white, keep to the black. Besides colors, also, let's say I'll go there in a second, but for instance, like know what's good, and or know what's easy, know what's fun, but keep to what's hard or keep to what's difficult. You still have challenges, so you still have to hold, towards the challenges. You definitely, like Katherine was saying, like people, you have to defend yourself at times. You definitely need to protect yourself. I got a friend at work, and she's being abused, so you definitely need to protect yourself, and that's just the right thing to do in certain situations. You can't sit back. And so, yeah, and I always admire people who put themselves in a position where that, it's a complicated situation, but they're trying to do the best they can. So then the sifting comes. You have to like create as much harmony in whatever position you're in. And I'm gonna go to the race thing here, and that is that I would say, like, at least from my view, it doesn't seem like any of us are really, most of the people on this call are really like racist as such. But what the issues do point out, or when you're watching the media, is that I think almost all of us have some level of little or subtle racial biases. And as these things come out, you become more attuned to what's going on inside, so you can see if this is some kind of trigger, or how deep it's been entrenched into your family beliefs or whatever, and you observe it. And that's how I try to become more equal, because I try to be a equal thinker and also still aware of what's going on, certain races or whatever, try to be sympathetic, because not everything's not all great. So anyway, those are some thoughts I have. Thanks.
Everybody's made really good points today. Yeah, all of us have a tinge of that, even if it doesn't show up as racism. It could show, just like a lot of people just don't like police officers, or it's still just judgment and separation amongst other people. And I have basically 4 warring races within my body. So one of the missions that I took on in this lifetime, evidently, was finding the balance and the peace even within myself, because I have the Native American, and I have the English, and I have the German, and I have the Jewish. So finding and quelling that war even within myself on a personal level, but then out there also in the collective. All I can say is thank God that there are those of us that will carry the light and hold the light, even in the hard times, because that's what we're here to do. So when it comes down to it, that's what we do. We have to stay focused on that light and on what we want to happen. But meanwhile, like we mentioned, being compassionate to people and not just ignoring their suffering, because that's not the answer either. We're here to, lock arms with each other and kind of work as a team on this thing. And this verse also brings out the point about the masculine feminine balance, and that's another thing that we could keep in mind, or another way of looking at it, I guess, is that as we see some of these acts of violence, that's considered more that masculine energy. And so that's when we are witnessing that, that's when we really need to hold the love and hold the feminine, bring that feminine of love and acceptance and nurturing. So we need to bring that into balance, that masculine energy coming through. So we're coming up 8:51. Thank you so much, Dan, for reading those comments. And I guess we should all just go ahead and give us your last thoughts for the day, and by the time we get through everybody, we should be just about the top of the hour.
My last little thought on that is, when you all have heard this story before, and it's the grandfather was telling the little son there, he was giving him the story about the two wolves, and it just comes back to me more and more that, we can't, you can't run away from it, but you still have to have that control in your environment, your space. There's some things you just don't have any control over. And he gave his little son at least a lesson, a teaching lesson about the two wolves, and you guys probably heard the story. And at the end of that story, he gives him all the analogies of what you got two wolves inside of you. I got two wolves inside of me. Everybody's got two wolves inside of them. And he taught him simple, practical lesson. He says, and then at the end of it, he says, well, grandfather, which one of the wolves win? And his three words, the one you feed. The one you feed the most. That's the one wins. So I'll leave that with everybody, audience, and, choose to feed the one you want to win. Work hard on that daily. Bring that balance to the one you want to win. Don't feed the other one. Let the other one starve. He'll be all right. You all have a good day. I love you.
I think I think you had said it towards the beginning, Catherine and Chris. You just touched on it. How these kinds of events that are happening can really make us become aware of maybe the racial biases we have, and I know that I've noticed me having them even within my own race. I'm a very mixed race, but I find that in certain situations I may act differently towards a different race than I would towards a different race, and it can be something that I have a piece of me inside of me just because of what we've talked about, like conditioning and all of this. There's so many people that carry a certain race within them, they may not even be aware of it and be racist against that. And excuse me, I'm being reminded of times where I've had certain things said to me because of my skin color or whatever it is, and how shocked I was even in the midst of New York when I lived in New York, like, this is still happening, this is real, and it's very real. I was on the subway and I just hanging out with a friend who was white, a white guy, and this black man got so upset at me. He's like, you're cheating on the black man, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, is this real? And it was very scary. So these things are out there, and I think a lot of people I saw on social media too are wanting to be able to discuss this. Let's not hide it anymore. It can be scary to talk about and the things that come up, but it's time for all of us to talk about it. What are those fears? Where do they come from? How can we change them? How can we just be real and admit that we may have these racist things, but how can we, get past them and move on, and all come together and realize this is all crap, it's all bullshit, and it's not real. So, sorry. Those are my ending thoughts. Thanks, great discussion.
Wow, that's so real, Sandy. Thanks. I'm seeing, what I'm seeing, across the media and with a lot of people is fear. People are scared, and I don't get it. I don't get why or how people think that scaring other people is going to stop the fear, which is causing the actions and the violence and the non-communication. So I mean, it's people need to start thinking correctly and taking care as to whether their thinking is accurate or not. And I bring it back to this verse. He talks about not necessarily living in the heavens, but down in the valleys, and knowing or understanding both. But I kind of see, like, if someone is to say think that their opinion about something is better than others or the absolute right thing to do, then then they're obviously not seeing things from the valley. They're up there in the heavens thinking that they're, that they know it all. And I just, we all need to, take it down a level. And I like what Donna said. We get what we focus on, and if you're going to, whichever wolf you feed is going to be the one that is going to dominate your life. And that's, so it's important to know these things. And you know you know I'm a white guy, but I've been discriminated against by whites, by females, by black people, by everybody. And it's not, I don't really take it, personal, but I feel how upsetting it can be, because it throws you off. It takes you back, and it's hard to understand. um, but we do get these programs that are put in us from a young age, and we have to do something about them personally to straighten things out for ourselves and start being able to look at things with the proper perspective. The other day I noticed how I've been eliminating certain ideas and really reactions and thoughts that I've had in the past. I've been eliminating the ones that don't serve me. But over this last weekend and week, I've noticed that there's been an empty space that needed to be filled. There's, my subconscious is like, okay, you don't want me to think about these things. Well, what do you want me to think about? And so that I've noticed how that's given a place for all these other comments and media things and everything to come in and sort of cause chaos in my own head. And get me away from the things that I'm trying to focus on. So it wasn't really my intention, but one of the things I do to try to help with is use affirmations, and I kind of speak things into a recorder sometimes when I really get a notion of, hey, this is something I need to address with myself. So, but I noticed that just by not even by reviewing them, but just by speaking them into the recorder, it reminded myself of the things that I do want to focus on. And I think the more that we do that, the more that we tend to our own thinking and actually put effort and exercise into providing ourselves with our own guidance through certain things like this. It does take effort, and we all have to put it in, but it's up to ourselves. So anyway, I don't want to go on, but thank you so much for the time. It's great to see you all, and it's great to be here. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.
I'll jump out with my last quick thoughts, and because we're really getting up on the top of the hour. I actually read the post that Sandy shared on the Hangout, and I think I agree with Donna that that a lot of this is bringing up to be brought out, so that that the vibration level has changed, and now it's being put out there for everybody as a collective now to start looking at this and maybe focusing and trying to come up with ways of how to deal with a lot of these deep-seated centuries built up feelings of things and stuff that people have, because they're not just individual, but they're also cultural, and and go beyond that. I think Donna's right. Something is coming and working and got to process through, that we all will be a part of, and that we're all going to will have a voice, so to speak, in it, and how it's responded to and how we respond to it, and getting back to our balance and getting ourselves centered and balanced will help us be able to approach and go after these things, hopefully with the right mindset and the right focus towards what we all want, which is ultimate peace, and working towards that goal, or getting closer to it at least. I think, so I think that's what I've gotten out of this, and even myself, some of my thoughts on how I'm looking at it have changed a little bit in the course of just talking about this today.
Any more closing comments? Anyone?
Thanks a lot. That was great, Dan. Love all you guys. Merry Christmas.
I love you guys too. Well, we're at the top of the hour, so I'll go ahead and close us out. Thank you, everyone, so much for this discussion. These are the times, these are the days that have been foretold, and all of these things that we've been learning and being taught about holding the vibration and staying focused on the positive and on what we want. You know, this is when we get put to the test. Can we really hold that vibration? Everything is going on around us. I think we can. I know we can. There's a deep, very old, ancient part of me that, like you, Sandy, I look at everything happening. I'm like, my God, how many times do we have to do this lesson? You know, haven't we been through this a million times before? And can't we just learn from the past instead of repeating over and over? But for whatever reason, this time dimension that we find ourselves in, things repeat. It's like a toroidal, I forget what that is, but you know how the energy moves up and around and it just keeps repeating. And we have to remember to stay in the light, hold the vibration, you guys, and you know, we're the ones that have learned how to do this. So just don't think that you can't make a difference just by being you and by staying focused on what we want to happen. And just send that love out to everybody. You know, when you're in your meditation or your prayer daily, just open your heart and send that love out to everyone. And as long as we keep doing that, we'll bring some peace around. So thank you all so much for joining us. Please go to Mindset Mastery Collective over on Google Communities and hang out with us on our Saturday Morning Mastermind. We do these verses every week, and we have a little discussion there. We try to, sometimes we get so busy we don't get over there, but we're trying to get over there for more comments and stuff. And Samantha, we missed you today. We love you and hope that you're having a wonderful time with your family and the rest of the group that couldn't be here today. We love you. And just stay in your hearts, you guys, okay? Stay in your hearts. Keep shining. And see you next week.